What's good, guys? It's TSG. In today's video, we have another nominee for the Illuminati Council, and today we have a special one. We have Santiago, who's been on the council for, I'm pretty sure, if not all of them, most of the epochs that we've had so far. Santiago, how's it going, man?
Hey, TSG, it's great to be here. Thanks everyone for tuning in.
Yeah, man, I'm really glad to have you on, and because for many people, they've seen that you've been on the council pretty much every time, and but they we were kind of just saying before we recorded, you're not as active on Discord, so a lot of people don't know much about you. So I'm really hoping through this interview they kind of see where your mind's at and where your perspective is at as well. So let's not waste any time. I'm going to go straight into the questions. The first question I have for you, man, and it's a interesting one to have you answer because, like I said, you've been on most of the epochs. What are your thoughts on the constant discussion? It seems like it's a never-ending discussion on the duration of epochs. Right now, it's 3 months, and it seems like there's always a discussion about extending it. If it was up to you, what would you like to see happen there? Would you like to extend it, and for how long, and why?
I think in my interview with Venom, like I don't dislike epoch duration being short as it is, especially in the very beginning. I think it's been working well because the community. It takes time to really get to understand the community and for other people in the community to understand the representatives. And so I think in the very early days of the project, a 3 month epoch probably served us well so that, there's rotation, there's a mix of ideas. And it has felt a little bit chaotic at times where you have multiple people come in and out. But, I think it also puts emphasis on the council members to represent the community well. And, on the one end of the spectrum, if you have like a year or 2 year like normal presidents and politicians, and that obviously we know how that ends. But
Yeah.
I think the can we live with 3 months? Yes. Um, every time you need to constantly prove your worth and why you're here and what you represent. And I think there's a high degree of accountability attached to a short epoch like there is now.
Yep.
Now, could we live with 6 months? Probably, I think, is a good kind of solution to this. Because sometimes, I think we're entering a different phase of the project where you want to have a little bit more than 3 months,
Yeah.
especially now that we have the beta. There are slower things like the land sale has encompassed almost three epochs now. And I think
Yeah.
we run the risk of being a little bit disjointed. And even the team, I think I've noticed, it's more so on the team, right? When you have a council rotate constantly, it takes time to get to know how the council is going to operate, different working styles, and that ultimately may slow us down. And so I think for that reason, I think it would be interesting to experiment with a slightly longer epoch, like 6 months, is probably where my head is at.
Yeah. Because the discussions that I've seen, we've got 3 months, 4 months, because that fits 3 times in a year, and it's not a big change to what we have now. And then the last one is 6 months, obviously, because it fits twice a year. And so everything that you've kind of mentioned is about the council itself and the council members themselves. For the DAO in general, I've noticed that there are two kind of topics when it comes to the epoch duration. One is what you mentioned about councils proving themselves and not being complacent. And the other side is actually about community engagement, with 3 months maybe possibly being a nuisance to people, feeling like they have to constantly vote and be engaged. We know how, like you say, we know how people are in general about general elections in real life. So having to vote every 3 months might be decreasing the engagement in governance. Is that something that you think about? Do you think it's something that needs to be addressed?
Yeah, I always look at the turnout for these
Yeah.
votes. I think it has been fairly strong. There are obviously anchor voters, like in any system.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it takes time to get to know people and how they
Yeah.
operate. I think 3 months is I like to think of it as a trial period. I don't think Illuvium is in a trial period anymore. So,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, there is always recourse, right? There's always the ability to kick out a council member if they're not
Yes.
upholding, their responsibilities. And I think now, as part of the IIP that I proposed, I think it was the last epoch. not this one, but the prior one, was to really define what the council and the roles and the responsibilities of the council are supposed to be. Really, and it's to empower and make the life of the team easier, and not be a hindrance or a nuisance. And somehow also striking a balance between hearing the community, making sure that their opinion and voice is heard, and acting as a conduit to strike that dialogue. Right, the team is heads down building. And I think I prioritize that above else. Like, we want to be the best game out there. The beta is really encouraging. And I think it's the council. I think, again, if in a scenario where we get elected for 6 months and one or two people in the council are not, just complacent or not showing up or not doing the work, then we now have very, I think, well-defined roles and responsibilities and duties of the council that we can absolve a particular member. Like, we just remove him in the interim, like during the epoch. And so I think that's why I think 6 months probably serves as well.
That's very fair. All right, let's move on to the second question, man. And that is the land sale. Like you mentioned, the land sale is coming up. And it's going to be the first time that us as a community, us as a DAO, actually get to experience what revenue distribution is going to look like. It's going to be the first case where there's a large amount of revenue being generated and being distributed back to the stakeholders. I don't know if you've kept up to date in the IIP channel. I know you're busy, so maybe you've just seen a little bit. But discussions have been wild about how the revenue should be distributed. Should it be done in a lump sum payment? Should it be done over a duration of time? How long should that duration be? Where do you stand on this topic?
I generally think the lump sum payments don't work particularly well because, look, crypto is you just have to assume that crypto is a very adversarial environment. And look at the way, going back to synthetics, which is obviously games protocol. I think what served us well was, if you were a staker in the synthetics ecosystem, you'd have gotten your rewards over a period of time. It wasn't all at once. And I think that naturally attracts the right kind of people to the protocol that believe in it long term, that want to be there. And my intuition is that perhaps we can adopt a similar mechanism here, where I think a lump sum payment just feels like a big airdrop. Like, I understand people have been staking and believing the project, but it's not the only thing that is why people should be interested and excited about staking ILV, right? And so I think a smoothed out distribution over time is better. And even better would be a mechanism where you can get some sort of bonus if you're doing things that amplify and benefit the protocol, whatever that may be, and we decide as a community. But I think those are the things that I always like to think about. Is, well, let me ask you a question. If you get a lump sum payment, how many of those people do you think are going to stick around?
It benefits.
Versus,
I need to be objective.
Yes, but I think there is a higher degree of probability. Look, the people that want to leave will leave always. And find ways to game the system. Like, that's just the way crypto is. But I think the ethos of the game should always be, look, the number one and the most important thing is you build a very immersive game. You build a great game, and you have incentives for people to stick around and to contribute, to build, to be engaged. And just something about a lump sum payment just doesn't sit well with me. This is my personal opinion. I don't know if you have a particular preference here.
I will not share it, my opinion on these things, because I'm trying to be objective as I'm trying to give you guys a chance without sharing my opinion. But I can definitely message you later and tell you what I think.
Well, you've heard mine. Yeah, definitely. I don't think a lump sum payment is wise. I think over a duration of months, smoothed out. And maybe with some sort of mechanism to have a bonus for people that are contributing and reinvesting back into the protocol.
And I'll ask like a little add-on question to that part, because obviously so let's say, like, you're summarizing, you're against lump sum, you want it over an extended period of time. Do you roughly have like an idea of what that period of time would be? Because there's been the discussion about the opportunity cost. If it's a lengthy period of time, the revenue that should have been distributed back to stakeholders could be invested elsewhere for maybe more profit than just waiting for it to come back to them over like a longer period of time. So do you have a period of time that you think is somewhat fair, or that you're looking at?
I don't have a very strong view here, but it sounds to me like 6 months to 12 months might be a good schedule to unlock this.
Yep.
A lot happens in that period of time, and I think, look, at the end of the day, people want to dump it and go elsewhere. Fine, they're going to do that anyways. If we don't deliver a great game,
Yep.
we already are seeing a great game, so it's on them, right? And so I think, like Curve has some interesting. Certain DeFi protocols have interesting mechanisms where, like, if you lock it if you give. Said differently, in a perfect world, I would design this as follows. You give people the ability to toggle between how much time they want to get the distribution. And based on that, they might get a higher percentage of that distribution, because you always incentivize people that are willing to take that and have a longer duration. And so that's how I think of it. So say if you, for instance, DST, agree to get the distribution over 12 months, and maybe you get a multiplier and a higher bonus. And other different components of that, versus someone that is not. And so maybe someone wants a lump sum. Well, if you're going to lump sum, then you're going to get taxed on that. Yeah. And you want to exit, fine. So I'm always in favor of like these mechanisms where you give consumer preference, meaning you give the user the ultimate options in a menu of saying, you want to get a lump sum? Fine, you're going to get taxed 40%, 20%, whatever. Yeah. You are willing to wait out 6 months? Then, okay, fine, you get 100% of the distribution. Hey, you want to wait 12 months or more? Then you're going to get more than that. Yeah. So I think that's how I would think of designing something like this. Now, of course, expressing that in a smart contract would be difficult, but for the purposes of simplicity, I think 6 months to 12 months sounds like, in a linear way, like sounds like okay. Yeah, that's fair. That's actually a really interesting concept that you have there. If it is implemented, that would be like in a perfect world, like you say, and people can kind of choose what they want. All right, let's move on, because I know we are time limited. The third question I have today is there's been a lot of discussion about the fluctuation of fuel price and what that's going to do for the average gamer in the overworld. There's been discussions about, should we have the fuel price being a fixed price to USD so it doesn't fluctuate? Should we allow it to fluctuate with 25% so it has a somewhat open market feel? Should we take the rails off completely and be a complete open market? What are your thoughts on that? What's your stance on that, if you have any? I don't have a strong view here. I do think about what degrades the user experience, because if you let it fluctuate too much, then I think it subtracts from the overall experience in the game. So I would just perhaps keep a bound of in the fuel being able to fluctuate. I don't know if 25% candidly is the right answer. I think it's a bit too much. Okay. I know people in crypto are used to volatility, but I think fuel is volatile in the normal world, and so it wouldn't necessarily make sense for it to be static and priced in a very particular way, but I think some sort of fluctuation is okay, but not too much. I don't know if 25 is the upper bound, but intuitively, I think anywhere between 5 to 15, 20% is okay. Yeah. But this is one of the things that we just don't know until we kind of see it out in the wild. Yeah. But the thing that I'm going to be looking at is, what is the user experience, and is it confusing? Is it demoralizing for a user to see kind of fuel kind of fluctuate that much? Yeah. Especially when the game is in its early infancy. Like, if you have this kind of volatility, I just want to make sure that we're thinking about, okay, the attention should always be like, the game experience should be beautiful and super immersive, and anything that is potentially subtractive or distracting should probably be minimized. And so I think this is one of those things where I'm sensitive to a big fluctuation. Yeah. And I try to perhaps not introduce too much volatility in this component of the game, because I don't know. I think it would just be distracting. Yeah, absolutely. No, understood. All right, man. Yo, awesome. I've been ending all of these off with one fun final question. With the T5s being, with the land sale coming up and the 2 T5s being on sale, they have the arenas on them. If you somehow magically had the naming rights to one of the arenas, what would you name it? Well, I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, so please say Hogwarts. I was gonna say Hogwarts. Yeah, something along those lines. But Hogwarts, as cliche as it sounds, is There's definitely a name that is top of mind, but I'm just too much of a Harry Potter geek,
Chamber of
as most
Secrets.
people
There's a
know.
lot. You can go a lot of ways with that
Chamber of
one.
Secrets, yeah, like the Quidditch match. Like I don't know. I was thinking about the name of the stadium where they play Quidditch in the world, like the turn.
Oh, I forget. I forget. Yeah.
But I don't know. It has. I don't think it has a name.
I don't think it does. I don't think
Nonetheless,
it
I think
does.
the default would be like for me. The default would just be Hogwarts or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
I was thinking the exact same thing. I was like, if I had it, I would name it
Although
Hogwarts.
Secrets is pretty cool because you're playing on the lizards component and like the serpent. So, anyways,
Yeah.
that was I guess so that would be probably the number one, the number two
Yeah.
choice. But I think I'll have to go with Hogwarts.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Yo, anyway, man, yo, thank you so much for coming on. Yeah, I
My
really
pleasure.
hope more people watch this and get to know your perspectives on these things because I think it is very insightful. And I'll
Thank you.
link your Twitter down below. Obviously, you know that I follow your Twitter and I think you share some great insight. But yeah, anyway, before I let you go, man, is there anything else you kind of want to say to close off? Anything you want to leave us with?
No, no, super encouraging. I think it's very exciting to have been in the council for this long, and very exciting. Obviously, encouraged by the beta, and I think it's been super fun. And look, I mean, I think it's really hard to build games, and you're already seeing early versions of that, and the team's built in such a short period of time. And I can't wait to see what's next. Whether I'm a council member or not, I'll be around and I'll be here. And so I'm really excited about where the project is today and everything we got. So
Awesome.
thank you for allowing me to come on and share my thoughts and of course everything you do for the community.
No, thank you, man. All right, so everyone that's watching, yeah, I've got a whole bunch of these videos. I'll put the playlist link down below. You can watch all the nominees, get informed on who you want to vote for, who you think represents you the most. Thank you again for watching, and like, subscribe, hit the notification button. You know what to do, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.